and he has been advocating for it either directly or indirectly, without any other person. The man is called Honorable Momodu Sabally. Who has to get for him? Sir, the floor is yours.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. Thank you very much, Master of Ceremonies, for those very kind words. Mr. Badi, the pilot of our trajectory into mathematical space here today, but greater still into the rarefied air of intellectual expression, which is one of the finest gifts that anybody can have as a human being. Do we have any biology teachers here? We are supposed to be animals. That's what they call us, right, in general science. We are not very far from monkeys, according to the evolutionists, even though I think in Kiang they are closer to monkeys. In Badibu we are very far from monkeys, definitely. I can say that for Badibu. I don't know about other areas. I will not mention Jara because I love them and I respect them. So if there are any Minkas here, please don't comment on this, on my comment. No comment, please. But as human beings, we are truly blessed by Allah with the gift of speech, and beyond speech, with the gift of expression, be it the expressions you're going to make here in your quizzes, the expressions in debate. Allah tells us in the Holy Quran that He so loves us. He bestows His mercy on us. He calls out His own attribute of mercy and graciousness. He says, Ar-Rahman, Allama al-Quran, Khalaq al-Insan, Allamahul Bayan. Allah says He taught us intelligent speech. So if you have the gift of expressing yourself, it is a great gift, and you should thank Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So we say, Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen, for the opportunity of being here in a very important institution, as far as I am concerned, the Gambia College. A very important hall in my academic evolution also, the main hall of the Gambia College, where I started my foray into student unionism, into student leadership, into civic duties. Here at the Gambia College Hall, where we first attended our Gambia Students Union Congress. I represented St. Peter's with my good sister Mami Asim Sar. I do remember Dr. Modu Sala then was representing Bakote. Your government spokesman, Ibrahim Sankara, was here. I remember meeting him here, and I remember a clash with him. It's very interesting. This happened like 30 years ago, but we had a clash I had a clash with him on how I called him. He thought this was disrespectful. Fast forward 30 years later, he's howling on Pamudu Bojang for calling him Sankara. What a world. But this is the Gambia College main hall, where we held our debates, our congresses, our symposia, where we had people like Honorable Ali Fasala, the late Dr. Sayyad Tal, Sidi Ejata, your newly minted Vice President Badr Rajuf. He was one of our favorite speakers here. So this hall is very important to me, and that's why I'm not very happy when I see the condition of this hall. It was better 30 years ago. That should not happen. It should be better today than it was 30 years ago. It should be better today than it was 5 years ago. And guess who was the Minister of Higher Education, the minister in charge of this college for the past 5 years? You know the answer? That should be the next quiz answer. I'll pay a price for that. I don't know whether you'll call me here again to speak, but I will speak my mind here today. Because what we need in this country is honest people speaking honest languages without fear or favor, as they would say, ill will or affection. And that is the essence of debate. come and disagree and agree to disagree without being disagreeable. That can be done. It's not rocket science. But we live in a society that wants to cage all of us, that you have to speak Mr. Fati's language or agree with Mr. Baji, otherwise he will cut your marks in the crease. Now, I'm using him as an, I don't think he will do that. Mathematicians are usually very fair thinkers. But that's where my slogan actually comes from. Can't cage me. It's a very deep statement. I read a poem about it. I did a poem on it, but because people did not understand the poem, I wrote another poem to explain the poem, and that's called Can't Cage Me, the Manifesto. I'll leave that for the last part of my speech. But it is important that we are allowed to express ourselves, because the gift of speech, the gift of expression, is a very sacred gift. Quite often when I go to these kind of occasions, I ask my wife to give me pointers as to what to tell the young people. I call her my better brain. And she would tell me, tell those young people, tell them to be real. Tell them to find themselves and to be true to what they say on these platforms. And I think that's very important. There's a lot of fakeness in our society, low and high, intellectual or technocrat. We have a lot of fakeness in our society, and we need to clean that so that our country can be cured of our maladies. One of my favorite public intellectuals ever, Dr. Jordan Peterson, he says that your capacity for speech is divine. It is the thing that generates order out of chaos. And I think that's a profound statement, and I can link it directly to the Quranic ayah I stated before. Khalaqal insan allamahul bayan. It says nothing brings the world into a better state of being than the stated truth. And that's why one of my slogans also on social media, if you follow me, is from the lyrics of S.D. Brikama Boyo, Tonya Kesoyo execute. Tonya Kesoyo execute. Naman execute na bangkoti tano de. Adi ñun toñal men te execute ta menu ñanta execute la menu be execute la ñanta lonna le ko ase fono kango telefona men manke tubabul la kamati wayi ntoña bon faniya debate angale kan mama ñol ben debate moy la ñaadi le e ko quartier fayo ko national debate Khalifa Sala be socialist yoni sol jaron angale kamala esa fal ba fala ko ila policy mu nokia jellati tatikri 10 muna kia meroli wolo ne ba yalla no mem difference mu iPhone ni Nokia 3310 diba so ñin debate sol fana ñanta kala mu na kamola le na moye mem moy and commission on political debate, if you are listening to, I'm talking to you, and that's why I never bother myself to get interested or participate in any political debate. You're talking to less than 10% of the voters. The level of illiteracy in this country is catastrophic. Take it from me. And you know why? Because this government is not investing the amount of resources that is supposed to invest in this most important institution of all institutions in this country, the Gambia College, especially the School of Education. There is no resource that any country can have that is more important than the human resource. I don't care how much oil you have. Nigeria and UAE, which country has more oil? Nigeria has more oil. Nigeria has more natural resources. Let me make it even broader. Singapore does not have more resources than Nigeria or even Guinea-Bissau. Well endowed. But it's the human resources, the human brain. You, the young people of this country, your brains, your ingenuity, and your resourcefulness, that is what will power the engine of development in this country and nothing else. So if this government is serious about development, and I'm talking to Badra Jub, the Vice President, if you are serious about developing this country, bring the resources into the Gambia College, demolish the replica of a failure you made in Basel, and bring the resources here and empower the students, the teacher students of the Gambia College, so that they can go and teach our children to become the robotics engineers, to become the next space astronauts of the world. And I know this can happen. You know why? Because a couple of years back, I was here with Professor Carr and the American ambassador on just this kind of event. One of the students got a scholarship later to go and study aeronautical engineering. Another is a famous TV host here. So what you are doing here is important. Take it seriously. Take it honestly. The results will come. Your education cannot be confined into the four walls of the classroom, into your strict regular curricula. You have to broaden your horizons. That is your responsibility. We, the elders, have a responsibility to allocate our resources in a smarter way, to make sure we pump more money into the Gambia College School of Education, to make sure those resources that are being diverted to GTTI to destroy it and make it a so-called University of Science and Technology, they should go to the University of the Gambia to give them better classrooms, better chairs, and better laboratories. Because that's our first and only public university that needs to be made better to make you people better and better, because you have the potential to be the next Steve Jobs, to be the next Bill Gates. For God's sake, you can be better than Sadio Mane, but we even have a proper stadium where we can play football. These are all issues that should be in our conversations, in debates, inside and outside of our classrooms. I'm sorry, my sister. Our resources should not be given to ministers to go and pay their maids when the Gambia College School of Public Health is under-resourced, when our public health officials in this era of a pandemic are crying over allowances. Ni dia mo tayo mo opposition ha dia kan tadi arang baru opposition in 2016 now anke opposition kada kala president. Is it a crime to be opposition? No. It is a crime to disagree with the government. Is it a crime to criticize a government that you are funding to your tax money? Is that a crime? Alkana somoyal nini ni pare da ka faale ko mo buka abama hawma manyana mansa sosola ala le mansa sendi foi to mo mansa le soso ko ya bondia adu mansa le sembote warate tolti. But we went through a peaceful debate process. Politics is nothing more than debate. To agree to disagree in a civil manner. We were able to do it and change a government. You don't even have to change a government, but through debate you can make your governments better by telling them the truth, by holding them accountable, and not to go to State House to go and do what the Wolof call tasu. So ñing kumol ñanta kacalale ñing dibe ñanta kelale ñanta toña fala yo toña keso execute ni wonte na banko titanya. In this society that we live on, father, mother, sister, brother, everybody trying to control you, how to think, how to talk. They even try to choose for you what subjects to choose. You are not free to think. And if we cage our thoughts and the thoughts of our children, we are not going to make progress, because if we keep to our old ways of doing things, we will never discover new ground. Sila koto kata sate kutola ni la kata la sate kutola ningo banko ekutaya fonse sila kutol walang ngatama wala ngana banko sambanyato. My favorite philosopher Napoleon Hill says, one of the greatest lines ever penned by any mortal being is Shakespeare's lines, "To thine own self be true, and it must follow as the night the day. Thou canst not then be false to any man." Stay true to your beliefs, speak your truth honestly and confident, and don't allow anybody to muzzle you, to cage you, to dim you, because you are a star made to shine bright like those stars you see up the skies at night. If you don't think those stars are important and beautiful, and yes they are, Allah did not create anything better than you, the human being. Allah created us and honored us. So we should not be in failures in our lives. Our country should not be stuck in poverty. But the only way we can do that is to mine the greatest gold mine that any nation has, the human mind. To do that, you must be allowed to think free. To do that, you must be allowed, you must challenge yourself. I heard him talking about the contrast between competition and collaboration. I think there's space for all. But we cannot and we should not kill the spirit of competition. And there is a thought process, and I want you to listen to me because we are going to implement policy. You know, we can collaborate and compete, but we should never kill competition. I'm telling you, the current Londo Sorobari Tata was saying, confused. sai ka wulole fa ko ma yandi kada madi mata to ba wol buka ke ban nto nya kon fani ani wulo buke la ani kiyam ko te o kala ka wulo sambe la ran kay na ke laje. So, but the West, and unfortunately, we are not original about policy. All our policies come from UN and IMF and World Bank. They bring in crazy policies. I don't want to mention. You know, ngaku jama lo nyim donko kan. Na men be long buka fa ni ngabe lo ko be tela. An Allah jam policy dol bi jawel kata kata ro. Ko na karama na londo tinyal. Bari ali ngam miram fa ye membe na fala ngake competition akumaya dala nyanta kelane. Ani arjana competition obi jele. Fo alama fo alko fali fo fi dalika faliyata na fasil internafisun ko dol bi jewol jarkale nga ñew sabala way ntana competition fa de mo keba collaboration ke competition le tuje fo dol ye gagner dol ye lose ni lose ta say next time fana mbakata le kata ko ye le ko la fa yet a study so competition o ñanta kala ala kana bonni na current system o ko de. You know, in certain countries, in certain dispensations, nobody loses, you know. A competition, everybody has a trophy. The trophy loses its value. So competition is important, and that's why I'm glad that you are here for him to challenge you, to push you beyond your limits. That's how you grow outside of your comfort zone. That's where the growth happens. That's where development happens. That's where your muscles become resilient because you're going to have challenges in your life. These schools are meant for a purpose, to prepare us for life, and life is not easy. Take it from me. Life is not easy. It's not meant to be easy, but its difficulties are actually blessings for us. Because our prophets, from Jesus Christ, Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, Musa, they all went through tests and trials and tribulations. I don't think we are going to have another prophet. But if you are going to amount to anything in your community, in the country, and the continent, beyond, you will be tried and tested. So those tests, they should actually be tougher. I don't want to hear that, that's why I'm looking at you. The test should be tougher. The NAT exam, I heard you guys have diluted it. We have to get ready for tougher world. No, there's a global macroeconomic meltdown happening. Things are getting difficult everywhere. And in America, they flew out, I heard military planes to go and look for body formula. Ni bina ñu bëru nga men colère té mu nekk bita ataya la fay bita practice la training ke practice ke sa ñalo wato kiyan me ñu bëru no mo beti wala ka ke la jambarota sa en karama lende so karam fa no practice la sala wala ka karam ka son ka bata. I was going to the university here, but I used to spend the night in college here. I was living with my sister here, Sabally in Brikana. I used to come here just to read. Spend the night here. I had a good friend here called Fode Samate, the smartest Kianka ever to be alive. We had our academic and extracurricular activities here. Our life was confined within the school system. By saying Ebedelem, Furalem, Sunday Beachlem, Mafali Abdullah Baratala, Albatala, Alatala. All work, no play makes Jack a dull boy, but all play, no work makes Fatumata a Let the quizzes go on. Let the competitions rage so that we know the best of the best. And to best ourselves, not just our competitors. That's the path to become the best in the world. Let the debates rage on. Let us be open to debate, to dialogue. Let us exercise patience and tolerance in the process. This is the key to a better and bigger Gambia, where we all may live in unity, freedom, and peace each day. And now to my point. Can't cage me is what I was trying to explain, because the first point could not be understood. You know, when I say can't cage me, they say can't put me in jail. Yeah, that's part of it. But the worst prison you can ever live in is in your own mindset, when people control how you think, how you behave, how you even pray, how you even relate with people, then you are a prisoner. So I say I can't, nobody can cage me. It's about what I say here, what I write on social media, who I relate with, how I do my politics, even how I practice my religion. For Allah tells us, La ikraha fi din hatta bayana rushd min al-ghayb. There is no compulsion in religion, but some people want to force you into the way they practice, which Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam did not do. Khayra khalqillahi kullihi. So my point, can't cage me, explain, is called Can't Cage Me, the manifesto. I'm not good at reading points, but the mic is good enough to convey my message to you. I hope you like it.
Yeah.
If you don't like it, don't be ashamed of me. Don't clap. I will not hit under. It's also part of debate.
Sure.
You know, sometimes what you don't say is louder than what you say. So when they come up with their policy statements and do their big grammar, again, ignore guy, then Twitter, Instagram, post pictures. That means what you're telling them is all you are telling us is rubbish, which is also good sometimes. Feedback. Can't cage me, the manifesto. Concerning what I think, do, or say, you shall have no mandate to dictate. Who I sit with to chat or discuss or pray, that too is too sacred for you to militate. You can whine and howl, go ahead and pray. That is just passing wind, so keep calm, mate. It is only Allah that I worship yesterday and today. Never had the desire to follow your whims to date. Tomorrow beckons with hope, and therefore I say, it is not your call to decide what is going to be my fate. Take those chill pills. You and I are both nothing but prey to that force, high, mighty, worthy to bow down and to celebrate. So take your cue. Walk on your soul each day and every day. That is better for you. Wake up now, go pray and meditate. Thank you for your kind attention, and thanks for having me here.
I want to say a few words. When he started, he said, don't know whether he will be called back, here or not. You see, during the last regime, we have been inviting Halifa Saleh for so many occasions. At a point in time, in fact, people were not inviting him at all because there were some threats coming. And in fact, at the end, it's like the college was ignored because we were painted that we invite opposition. So we were ignored. But notwithstanding, I just want to say that in any educational institution, it's a liberty zone. It's only in education that you are free to say anything that you want to say. Yes. In the four corners of a hall like this, you can say anything that you want to say, which is not going right. In the four corners of the classroom, you have the right to say anything that you want to say, which is not going to right. I refer you to one movie that used to be played. We call it Sarafina in South Africa, Soweto. You see what happens to Madame Boga? When she was trying to liberate the people, trying to tell them what is right, what they need to know as citizens and whatsoever. The government do not want that. And they have to send people to follow her, to arrest her. And that was the biggest mistake. You don't arrest an educationist. That's the biggest mistake a government will do. Educationists are lancing free. When it comes to what they have to say, they are free. You don't hold them ransom for what they say. No. Especially in the four corners of the classroom. In this hall, if we stand here to give lectures, the president has no right to enter there without the permission of the guy who is in. See, one thing that we are not made to understand as citizens, if the president is at State House, he is the president and then he has his authority. If he moves to a village and meet the alcalde is the supreme. Because there, the alcalde is the head of the village. So he has entered in the village, so therefore the alcalde is his head in that village. That is how the trend is. But what happened is, well, I said in the Gambia, does it happen in other African countries? But then, some of these things are already settled, that we find it even difficult to express yourself. You see, anytime that you feel like you are afraid to express yourself, then forget it. That's the time that you should realize that you are a total failure. Fear not, especially when you are in this land of education. Here, In these four corners, whatever goes wrong, we will say it, we will share it, we will see how best to come up with ideas, to see how we mitigate or solve them. And that is the beauty of education. And I want to say, if it is education, if it is to share knowledge, if it is to make people aware, it is important. If he has the wisdom to share, I don't see no reason why he should not be invited. And that is one thing that we need to know. We have to put across this very clearly. If we have issues to discuss that needs to be discussed, we invite the right people to discuss the right thing. And that if we are to live in a Gambia for Gambians, we must be ready to be Gambians for Gambia. Thank you.